Me did the young antechua, and maybe I'm discovered for Europe. I come a bushing for Ghana. No, me used to tap send, tap send. No fee mobile money transfer. Aye easy, aye convenient, aye fast, and sounds so free. Won't ya she? Me discover ye map him. Tap send. Intienne. Also download the tap send app. No, ever mobile phone so free. Na first ka come a bushing for Ghana for na. Tap send. Papa no.
After successfully redefining Accra's skyline with the delivery of the signature apartment, Cape May Properties presents an exclusive unveiling of the tallest residential building in Ghana, offering a first look of Sultan Sky. Sultan Sky, a magnificent representation of the seamless fusion of quality, groundbreaking innovation, and pioneering architectural brilliance. An extraordinary structure set to reshape the concept of upscale living, thanks to its inventive attributes and unparalleled commitment to precision. This master-planned residential development will focus on the building's location, security, privacy, the design's aesthetic brilliance, elevated features in each living space, cutting-edge smart home technology, and amenities beyond imagination, with fantastic residential features which include 24-hour concierge service, a state-of-the-art fitness center, a floating tennis court, a floating swimming pool, a spa, a sky pool, a sky lounge, a movie theater, co-working spaces, kids zone, distinctive lifts for staff and deliveries, private gardens, chef's kitchen, expansive terraces, entertainment rooms, restaurant, and 24-hour security. Sultan Sky, a new perspective in the sky.
Apparently causes is the cause of about 95% of liver problems. I read that somewhere today, so it's really common, but at the same time it is reversible with changes in style and diet. Again, we touched on this a little bit last week. So mostly it is reversible, but if fatty liver becomes has been going on for a very long time and you've not been reversing it, then it can become something called liver cirrhosis, which is irreversible. So that's an important point to note. We've already gone over the symptoms, so I'm not going to go dwell on that too much. The diagnosis of it is through blood tests. So essentially you will do some blood tests, the liver functional tests, and that will tell us if you've got high liver enzymes, and then we'll also do cholesterol tests and see if you've got high cholesterol in the body. Kind of tells the way to diagnose it. The proper way to diagnose it is through an ultrasound scan, because an ultrasound scan can tell us whether the liver is a bit enlarged in size or if it's just a bit more fat in the liver, because fat shows up as white spots on ultrasound. So again, from an ultrasound we can pretty much tell, but the thing that will really tell us if it's a fatty liver disease is a biopsy. So usually what they do is they go into your liver, they take a bit of your liver, and then they test it and tell what kind of cells it is, and essentially it'll tell us that it is your liver cells, but it is fatty. The causes of fatty liver, we touched on this last week as well, but the main one is drinking too much alcohol. So again, we'll come to the two different, there's alcoholic fatty liver disease and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So the mainstay here is drinking too much alcohol is probably what causes the most of fatty liver disease that we see. But also being obese or having extra body fat is one. Hyperlipidemia just means high levels of fat in your blood. Some conditions like diabetes also predispose you to fatty liver. And then there are other things that you can't really change, things like genetic inheritance. Another thing that's important to know is actually hepatitis C. So hepatitis, we've got 5 different types of hepatitis, but hepatitis C in itself can be a predisposition to fatty liver, but so can all the other hepatitis, but I guess C is a bit more predisposition, a bit more than the other hepatitis. We've already talked about this, excessive alcohol. How do we treat fatty liver? Fatty liver is often treated through preventing modifiable risk factors. So things like avoiding obesity, avoiding alcohol, quitting sort of high fatty foods. So again, I'm going to come to the cholesterol in a minute. Reducing the amount of sugar in your diet, just having a healthy, balanced diet, and also exercising, because even if you're eating foods high in cholesterol, again, exercising is a good way to burn off fat, burn off calories. So that is a way to help. So lifestyle changes is a mainstay of fatty liver. There's not really any medical treatment for it. The only medical treatment I can think about is to treat high cholesterol, which would be statins. So if you've got high cholesterol, then taking statins will basically treat the cholesterol, which will in turn help you reduce the fat in your blood and help you reduce the fatty the fatty liver. But essentially, there's no medication to treat fatty liver disease. There are 2 types of fatty liver, as I talked about. So there's alcoholic fatty liver disease. This occurs when you drink too much alcohol. The reason that is because alcohol damages the liver. When the liver is damaged, I talked about this last week. When liver is damaged, basically liver is where all your fatty cells are stored. So when your liver is damaged, the liver can't store the fat anymore, so it spills over, and then basically it causes problems. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is usually caused due to obesity, diabetes, high cholesterol, so basically having fat. So we touched on all of these. It's almost like this is repeating itself, but yeah, that's fine. So that's this slide. I actually like this one as well, because it touches on some things that the other slides did not talk about. So again, we've talked about, and these have got pictures, so this just shows you what kind of the differences between the fatty liver. So this is your normal liver, and then in your fatty liver disease, you can tell that these fat deposits of fat have replaced liver tissue. So if you think about this in a logical way, if all of this tissue, every single cell here has a role that it plays in your body, and if you think about how, can you guys see my screen? Actually, the screen I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you can. I can't, because I can only see myself. That's fine. Yeah. So if you can, these sort of little fatty, all these cells have a role that they're playing, and then these fatty blobs are basically replacing those cells. Then you think your liver's not really going to be doing a good job, because if you need 1,000 cells to do something and you've only got 500 cells because the rest of the 500 are fatty, then obviously the purpose of the liver is it's no longer basically working as it should be. This is what I talk about alcoholic fatty liver disease, where you start off with healthy tissue, and then your alcohol will give you fatty liver disease. Then if you keep drinking alcohol and not stopping alcohol, then you can go to alcoholic hepatitis, which is hepatitis just means inflammation of the liver. So HEPA is a sort of almost the medical term for liver, and then titus is anything with titus on it just means inflammation. So conjunctivitis, hepatitis, meningitis, itis is all basically laryngitis, is all just the inflammation. So hepatitis is inflammation of the liver. So from the fatty liver, you get your inflammation of the liver, and if that you're still drinking alcohol, still not managing your alcohol properly, then you end up having something called liver cirrhosis. And this is basically, if you can tell from the picture, look how the liver is basically shrinked, and it's got different spots. It's basically a dead liver. So liver cirrhosis is a dead liver. There's nothing you can do to reverse it. Okay, fine. I think that's it for alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, coming back to, then I'm going to now move this slide over. This is really interesting today, what I'm doing, because I'm using 2 screens. So I've never done this before, so bear with me. This is now my cholesterol talk, which is going to be short and snappy because I'm mindful of the time. Okay, here we go. So, what is cholesterol? Well, cholesterol is basically just fat. And in the body, we've got two types of cholesterol. We've got your good cholesterol and we've got your bad cholesterol. The bad cholesterol are things that are basically things that you find in terms of fast food. So yeah, there you go. And then your good cholesterol are things that you find in natural food, so things like avocado. But again, I'll come to this a little bit later in the slide. I thought this is really important for people to know. The liver produces 75% of cholesterol that circulates in our blood. So the other 25% basically comes from food. And this is why, again, it's an important point to know, because when I talk about the alcoholic fatty liver disease and the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, the reason why the alcoholic fatty liver disease is more common is because if you think about the percentage of cholesterol that we take outside from food, is only 25%. So for it to build up, that's why we said you basically have to be obese to have that extra fat before it becomes a problem. But when you drink alcohol, because your liver produces 75% of cholesterol, if you're thinking about damaging your liver, then essentially all that 75% of cholesterol is going to end up being deposited. This is why the alcoholic fatty liver disease is more common and more dangerous than the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So important to know that your liver produces more cholesterol than the food that you actually take in. So it's an important point to just be aware of. There are no symptoms of high cholesterol because it's something that happens internally. You will not know it. So literally, it's a buildup of fat. So if you think about this picture here being your arteries and these red things being your red blood cells, these yellow things are the fat that's basically roaming around in your blood. And fat, even if you think about it, when you put fat in water or anything, they don't tend to like to bounce around. They just tend to want to settle. So when a lot of fat is in your blood vessels, what they do is they just find somewhere and they perch themselves and they settle there and they form something called a plaque. So if you think of a speed bump, essentially your fat will just end up in your arteries and end up being like a speed bump there, which basically causes problems. It causes things like blood clots, less blood flow. It just causes a whole lot of problems. So having extra fat in your blood cells the deposits of fatty tissue in your arteries is called atherosclerosis. Not something you need to know, but it's just important because doctors tend to throw these words around. And if you've ever been to your GP or your doctor, and you've got high blood pressure or you've got high cholesterol, they've probably used that word on you before. So I just wanted to use it and so that you know what it means. All it means is there's fatty deposits in your blood vessels. We've talked about cholesterol testing. So the bad cholesterols that are good for you, the bad cholesterols that are bad for you, the cholesterol that's bad for you is basically things like processed foods. So processed meats, Sabina, stop laughing at me. Processed meats, so your things like even your minced meat and all those things, processed foods, basically your McDonald's, your fast foods, all that sort of thing. Your good cholesterols are things like your olive oil, your avocado, your shrimp. I think we've talked about that. There's a slide about that in a minute. Yeah, so your shrimp, your egg, your oysters, things like that. Those are good cholesterol. The way in which we test for cholesterol is basically a simple blood test, and we get you to fast. It's a fast and lipid test. We get you to fast so that we know the true so if you've just eaten like a food high in cholesterol, then your cholesterol levels is going to be high in your blood test. So the fasting cholesterol is the best one because it tells us how much cholesterol is roaming around your body even when you've not eaten. So sometimes we do it really early in the morning. We get you to stop eating from the night time when you've gone to bed, when you've gone to sleep, and then when you wake up, have no breakfast, come to the GP, hospital, wherever you get your bloods done. We take the bloods and then essentially we tell the cholesterol. I've got it stuck on this slide because I want you guys to know that there's cholesterol and family history. If you've got high cholesterol which runs in your family, it can be a risk factor for having high cholesterol. There are some people who can eat really bad cholesterol and still not have high cholesterol, and that's because perhaps they're not predisposed to having high cholesterol. And you can say that maybe you don't eat that much bad cholesterol but you've got high cholesterol. That's possibly because you've got a genetic risk factor. So you also need to know yourself and not compare yourself to others. And I say this is always important. If you have a friend and your friend is always eating McDonald's but their blood tests are always normal, but if you eat one burger and suddenly your cholesterol is through the roof and your doctor's telling you need to start a statin, then you need to know that you cannot compare yourself to your friend because your genetics are different, your genes are different. So we just need to be mindful and not compare ourselves to other people. And Yeah, I think that's it. I'm not going to go through the other slides because I think it's not important. Not that it's not important, but it's not important for the purposes of today. So the two things I want you to take away from today is that cholesterol is important. Good cholesterol is good for your body. So we've got good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Eating good cholesterol in moderation. And I remember on this show, I've said before that you need to, 1 egg a day is fine. And somebody was like, Debbie, and fat. But egg does have cholesterol in it, especially the yolk part of it. So if you're having 6 eggs a day, which I know a lot of Ghanaian men tend to do, or even maybe even women, but I'm just used to Ghanaian men having like 6 or more eggs. So that, even though it is good cholesterol, it is still cholesterol. It's not good to have that much. So everything in moderation. 1 egg a day is fine. If you're having 1 avocado, every 2 days or so, that's fine. But if you're having 10 avocados a day, 10 eggs a day, 10 shrimps a day, then obviously, even though it is good cholesterol, it is still cholesterol, and too much of everything is bad. So just be mindful of what you're eating, because you are what you eat. And then the thing I want you to remember about fatty liver is that it is reversible just from lifestyle changes. But if you don't stop the lifestyle changes, then it can become detrimental. It's very unlikely for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease to become cirrhosis, because the cholesterol that we take through our diet is only 25%. And it really usually often doesn't make that much of a difference to it. But the alcoholic part is very important, because alcohol does damage your liver. And newsflash, you need your liver to stay alive. So if you damage your liver, you will need a liver transplant, or you can die from it. I'm going to end on a case that I was working on today with somebody who took a paracetamol overdose. They took 40 tablets of paracetamol and ended up coming into the hospital. A lot of the time people don't know overdoses can damage your liver, especially paracetamol is known very much to damage your liver. So that person might end up needing a liver transplant, because they've damaged their liver to the extent where, just by taking a paracetamol overdose. The reason I'm saying that is basically because anything that's toxic to the body, so again, coming back to the alcohol point, drinking too much alcohol, even in one night, can damage your liver. So you might say, I don't drink much, but then one night you binge drink. And if you binge drink, because the role of the liver is literally to take away the toxins. And if you're drinking a lot of toxic things to the liver is taking a hit, which means that it's difficult to bounce back from it. So just be mindful of the things that you feed yourself. I can go on forever about this, even herbal remedies as well. So there are some herbal remedies that are not tested, that if you take them, they can damage your liver. So just be mindful of what you eat and what you're taking, because it can damage vital organs. So yeah, thank you. I think I'll end my talk here.
Thank you, Dr. Akos, very, very much. As always, sorry, I'm just adjusting myself there. Thank you, Dr. Akos. And I wrote in the comments, I thought you would see it. I said McDonald's is advertised as real British beef.
I've just seen it because I've come out of the screen share, but it might be real British.
That was just banter. Please do not listen to me. I am not the doctor on this show.
It is, you know what? It is real British beef, but it is still processed beef. And whether it's British or American or Australian or Ghanaian, it's still processed. So the whole point is processed meat is, it might be the best out of the fast foods, but it doesn't take away the fact that it's processed. And if you've ever seen the way that McDonald's actually make their meals, they dash it in it's literally drenched in oil. And this is another thing, I'm not like advertising for any air fryer company or stuff, but I remember when Abena started her healthy spiel and she bought an air fryer and she was like, let's all invest. She came home and was like, myself and my mom should chip in to the air fryer that she's bought, and we're like, we're all right deep frying, we're very good, you can air fry, but we're happy to deep fry. But as she started, so we didn't contribute, by the way, so she just bought her air fryer and she was using it herself. But as she started to use it, and we saw the difference, like if you deep fry a sausage compared to if you air fry a sausage, and you see how much oil you lose from the sausage in a deep fryer, and you think in an air fryer, and you think if you deep fry it, that all that oil is going inside of you. And I don't think I can live without an air fryer now, because if I think about how much oil and how much unhealthy stuff that we actually eat when we're deep frying stuff. So it's just important to also make a note of, even you can eat fresh food, which is not fast food, or your own beef, but even the way you prep it at home is important. So it's just something to, if you don't have a deep fryer, oven cook it, or like pan fry it. But deep frying is really, really bad.
Air fryer is definitely a game changer, guys. Let's all go out and get an air fryer. But yes. Oh, we've already got statements and questions, and maybe we'll take them in after what's it called, after the advert. So we'll be back shortly.
Sorry, it's your face for me. Okay, I think we might not have adverts today. I've not been told anything, but I think we might not be able to have adverts today.
Okay, due to technical issues, no adverts.
Not technical. We've got our producer is enjoying himself in Ghana, so.
Well, no adverts means more question time, guys. So let's find
TAPTAP send. Oh, that was but maybe you're from Calabos, the only boss. Wait, honest. The BM will be everywhere a day and everywhere they go. TAPTAP send got me covered. For if you need to send money or transfer money from Europe, from Canada, from USA, from UK, any part in Europe, you can send it through TAPTAP send. And guess what? Oceania, they will receive it right here in Ghana and many countries across Africa. So what are you waiting for? Download TAPTAP send now on Google Play Store or App Store. When you download, it's so easy to use. Tell your families, tell your loved ones to download TAPTAP send. Okay? But also, when I receive my money, the other time they were with the channel, like my view, hey, you crazy.
Download TAPTAP send now on Google Play and App Store. TAPTAP send, it's secure, convenient, easy, and fast.
Buy an interest-free home and pay within 36 months. Yes, Daimler Homes' new gold standard development, Hilton Court, has just commenced, and you can own a unit now and pay within 36 months without any interest. Starting at 95,000, you can own an elegant apartment. And guess what? Discounts are available from now till end of May. To learn more, visit our website at daimlerhomesgh.com or call us on 0200-584-558. Daimler Homes, the elegance of living.
Everyone, welcome back. For those of you who missed, who came in a bit later, Dr. Akos just took us through cholesterol and fatty liver, which was a topic that our viewers requested for last week. So now we've gotten to the Q&A session, where you can ask questions based on today's topic, which is fatty liver and cholesterol, or you can ask any health topic. So we start with, I don't know if it's a question. Okay, well, it says it's not a question, more of a statement. According to Eddie Abiu, eating lots of eggs is good for the body. Obviously not. Any further explanation on that, Dr. Akos, why it's not so good to eat too many eggs?
A lot of people, I don't know what this obsession is with eggs and Ghanaians and eggs, but and I never thought it was a thing until people said it, and I realized maybe it is a thing. All my Nigerian friends are always laughing at us when they say Ghanaians love eggs. So can somebody explain the obsession with eggs to me, please, from a Ghanaian point of view? Because I really don't get it. So one egg a day is fine. The yolk has a lot of cholesterol in it. So if you really, really want to have your 6 eggs a day, then have it without the yolk. But then I guess it defeats the
point of that.
I can't even say. Do you know what? I can't even. I'm trying to even say maybe 2, but I can't even say 2 is good. But I just know 1 is enough. And even 1 a day, I think is too much. If you think about, you're always having 7, like an egg every day. You're having. Why would you want to have an egg every day?
It's nice.
Dr. Akosua.
Oh yeah.
Dr. Akosua. Yeah, munya butre my kakrawai. You know, the reason why it's not just Ghanaians who like eggs. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's not just Ghanaians who like. I thought it was Ghanaians. I thought it was a Ghanaian thing because it's quick. You know, when you're tired, you just boil your yam and then put your tomato in, and then put your eggs in, and now you've got your stew. You can eat it. It's the easiest stew you can. But coming close to Nigerians, I've noticed that I think a lot of Nigerians to eat eggs and yam. So it's not just Ghanaians, but when you tell someone to eat 1 egg a day, I'm saying, hey, yakakro, and yakolamu, but you don't eat eggs every day. But Dr. Akosua, if you eat twice, let's say twice a week, I think Dr. Akosua, let's be
reasonable.
Yeah, because I don't want us to be rigid, and then I
understand it, and I agree with you. And I guess what I'm saying is that you are allowed 7 eggs a week. So however you want to eat your 7 eggs, I will not advise eating all 7 at once, because I think when you do that, the body actually does not use it as it should do. Because if you think about, the body always absorbs what it needs, and whatever is excess, it stores as fat or it just gets rid of. So if you're eating 7 eggs and the body only needs 1, it's literally going to take the nutritional content of 1, and the rest is not going to be a waste. So that's why it's not good to eat 7 eggs. Another thing I'll say is, if you're not having enough protein, then fine. I mean, if all you're having is eggs and you're not having chicken or you're not having other things. But the reason I say that, I know people who have 2 pieces of chicken for dinner but have 6 eggs with their breakfast, and then have like, let's say they'll have 4 sausages for lunch. That's too much protein, too much cholesterol. It's just too much of everything. So yes, I agree with you, Auntie. We can be reasonable and a bit flexible. You can have 2 eggs twice a week, or even 3 eggs twice a week. But yeah.
And again, I wanted to just with the fatty liver, I wanted to ask you, what is the cutoff, or how do you diagnose with regards to the LFTs? How do you diagnose? Is it from 300 or 400?
I think that will be getting technical, because then not a lot of people understand what LFTs or even what the ranges for LFTs are. So, I mean, for the purposes of this talk, I won't get to, but I can talk to you about that later, Auntie Amma, because you're quite medical yourself. But if in terms of the LFTs in itself usually does not really diagnose the fatty livers, because what the LFTs will just tell us, so the LFTs are liver functional tests, so it's the test that we do for the liver, and what they will tell us is that there's something wrong with your liver. So if your liver functional tests are a bit off, it will just tell the doctor that something's wrong with your liver, which means we need to go and further investigate it. At that point, we will do an ultrasound. The ultrasound is what will show us that you've got fatty deposits in your liver, and then from there we'll do a biopsy. So that's sort of how we diagnose it. The only blood test that might contribute to telling us before we do the ultrasound is if we've done your liver functional test and we've done your cholesterol, and we've seen that your cholesterol is high and your liver is off, then we can make an assumption to say we suspect you've got fatty liver disease. But that is just a suspicion. It doesn't tell us anything. We need to do the ultrasound and inevitably the biopsy to be able to actually diagnose fatty liver.
Thank you, guys. I'm sorry. Hello?
Yeah.
Yep, thank you, guys. Okay, we've got 2 more questions. We'll start with Susan, because she had her hands up, or at least that's Susan, and then we'll go into the chat.
Oh, I had my hand up when Dr. Akos raised the issue about the egg situation with Ghanaians. Dr. Akos, I'm surprised you said it's an obsession. It's not an obsession. Apart from, like Auntie Amma said, it's our quickest go-to source of protein. Quickest, but I feel like it's the cheapest as well, because in Ghana, like, meat is quite expensive. Eggs are cheaper, and usually it does have a lot of protein, which people can afford. So that is why Ghanaians tend to have eggs on a lot of meals. However, yes, some people abuse it, no doubt about it, having more than one egg in a day, or having egg with other sources of high protein foods like gobe beans and some other things, and then having it on everything now. Yes, there's a bit of an abuse, but it's a touchy situation. It's just that it's our cheapest source of protein and helps a lot of people get through life in Ghana. So that's the reason.
Yeah, I mean, good point. I guess I've ruffled a few feathers, when it comes to this. And I guess the reason I said obsession, and it's probably the wrong term to use, you're right, was because when I was a student, and we had the Ghanaian Society, so the Aberdeen Ghanaian Society, and I remember we had a party, and we, the eggs was the selling point. Like, people were not looking forward to coming to the party, and then we said, "Oh, Kosiani Meko, come and see!" My goodness, like we sold out of the tickets.
Yeah, there is a challenge now between us and Nigeria. It's all over the internet now. Kosiani Meko.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me, and I was just like, "Wow, okay, I did not know egg had that superpower." But I guess I understand when you talk about like being in Ghana and eggs, eggs are the cheapest source of protein and stuff like that. Would I say that's the same? I guess they still are the cheapest source of protein even here. So, well, anyway, like I say, I don't get it, but can I? Yeah, I'm not sorry. You moderate.
No, if there's anything that you want to do, that's fine.
No. I just saw a comment in the bar. I'll leave you to do it.
Yeah, there are quite a few that have come through, and I've got another one sent to me, not anonymously, but personally. So, there's one. Can you explain kaolin and boiled eggs, please? What's the relation?
I cannot, because I don't even know what that is. So I don't. I'm not sure what is kaolin.
If you could come up anytime you're ready to explain what you mean by your question, I wish I could help, but as you know, I am not medically inclined one bit. So we'll move on to the next question, which is, the Chinese also eat lots of eggs. Okay, that's just that is true. Chinese do love the eggs. A statement. And then from Bryce, please, I just joined. If I understand your point, you mean excess eggs affects the liver?
Correct. No, that's not what I'm saying. No, yeah, not directly. So what I was talking about was cholesterol, and we talked about having good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, and eggs are good cholesterol, but I was saying eating everything in sort of in balance. So if you're having too many eggs, then you're having too much cholesterol. So because you joined the chat late, you could probably catch up on the YouTube video, but essentially we're talking about how cholesterol affects your liver, and how 75% of cholesterol is made by the liver, but 25% comes from what we eat. So we just need to be careful not to eat excess cholesterol, which can then affect the liver and give you something called fatty liver disease, which is what we talked about today. So I hope that's summarized everything. But what I am saying is you shouldn't eat more than 2 eggs a day. We've come to a negotiation, myself and Auntie Amma, so we're allowing 2 eggs as opposed to 1.
I think 2 is a good number. I tend to have 2 on a day where...
But not every day, that's the thing. So if you're having eggs every day of the week, then it should be 1 egg every day. If you're only having it twice or 3 times a week, then 2 is acceptable. What I'm saying is the maximum eggs you should be having in a week is 7 eggs a week. So however you want to have that, or just 7 eggs, not all at the same time, break it down into at least 2 or 3 days.
Okay, fine. I can't have my big massive chibum.
Tell Dr. Kojo.
I will let him know. I've got a question from Esther Ajumine, who messaged me and said, I know there are different types of viral hepatitis like A, B, C, and my uncle has hepatitis B, and I know that it can affect liver in different ways. When it comes to long-term liver damage, how does hepatitis B compare with others? Is it transmittable? What are the best ways that someone with hepatitis B...
Oh, no, you're rapping.
I'm so sorry. It's quite a long, packed question. It says, did you hear the first part?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says when it comes to long-term liver damage, how does hepatitis B compare with the other types? And is it transmittable? What are the best ways for someone with hepatitis B to protect their liver and reduce the risk of complications of the liver cancer or the other one? It's cirrhosis. Cirrhosis. Yeah. So. That was a bit of a handful. That was quite a question.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned today that I mentioned about hepatitis C and how that can affect. So that can be affected by fatty liver disease and things like that. There are 5 types of viral hepatitis. There's A, B, C, D, E, and so I can't cover all of them today. I said I was going to do a series of this, so I'll probably cover that next week. If I can't cover it, I'll get Dr. Kujo to help me with it. But sort of just to answer sort of briefly and whiskily in terms of protecting yourself and transmission. So depending on which viral hepatitis you have, the transmission's different. So hepatitis C, you sort of get it through sharing spoons and sharing towels. Hepatitis B is classed as an STI, so it's sexually transmitted. However, you can get it through sharing bodily fluids as well, which means you can sort of get it through sharing things like spoons and things like that. So it's that you know, there are different ways. So if you've got, and there are different stages of hepatitis B as well. So you can have stages where it is dormant, or you can have stages where you've got an active hepatitis B infection where you have to be careful. When it's dormant, it means it's not able to spread, but because you've had it, it means it can become active at any time. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's just being careful in terms of sharing things, and again, protecting yourself sexually. If you're having any sexual intercourse with anybody, if you're kissing anyone, you know, sharing towels, that sort of sharing personal hygienic stuff essentially. So yeah, that's the way to protect yourself. Make sure you're not doing that. And likewise, if you've got it as well and you live in a household, you just need to sort of be aware. I mean, you might not want to tell everybody your business, or you know, like you don't want to, like, especially like I know students that tend to share kitchens and stuff, and you know, you might not want to go around telling everybody at the student hall that you've got hepatitis B or something like that. But I think it's just being responsible for your health and basically knowing what not to do. And you know, I know that when I was a medical student, we used to play this game, not me personally, but MedSoc used to have game nights where we used to have these drinking games, and there was one particular game that I was like, I am not doing that, just because for hygienic sakes. But literally students do anything, but literally you needed, so we were gosh, this sounds so disgusting. It was like a row of 5 people. The first person will take a drink, and then they'll pass it to the next person through their mouth, and then the next person will pass it, and you pass it down the chain. If you know, I did not do it. I know I had that same reaction. I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this. but my friends did it, you know. And if you know that you've got hepatitis, that is a game that you should step out of and say, I'm not going to do that, because that's a risk of passing it on. And students do the most ridiculous things. And this is why we need to also educate our children. If you've got kids going off to university, you know, I didn't have anything to pass on, but it's one of these things my mum has literally drummed into me. It's like, I'm not willing to get herpes from somebody. I'm not willing to get, you know, some sort of disease from someone. I'm not doing that. So yeah, it's just important to also talk to your children about these things when they're going off to university. Be like, you can be fun, but there's been fun and there's been stupid. So yeah, just I can't go on about hepatitis, but I probably need to cover some of these things as well, especially university students. That's a whole lot of things to cover there. But yeah, so yeah, just be mindful. Yeah. So, and Abna, you're on mute.
I was just, sorry, I apologize. I was just saying that, yeah, so how does it affect long-term, which is what Esther wanted to know. How does it affect long-term liver damage? And what do you do with, what do you do when you have it? to protect yourself from, like, to protect your liver or reduce the risk of complications?
Have I not?
Oh, did you? I thought you were talking about the transmission and how.
I talked about how to protect yourself from, well, not from long-term liver, but I guess how to protect yourself from getting it and how to protect others from getting it as well. Right. But as I said, let me cover it next week, because the thing is, I can't just touch on it. It's, in terms of how do you protect yourself from long-term liver damage, there's a whole lot to it, and I really need
when to get you have the disease.
Yeah.
Okay, because he said my uncle has it and kind of wants to know how you protect yourself from, how to prevent it from getting there, as it's a big factor.
So the person who already has hepatitis B,
yes,
how to stop themselves from getting it.
Yeah, so it says my uncle has hepatitis B and I know it can affect the liver. So when it comes to long-term liver damage, how does hepatitis B compare with the other ones, and what is the best way for someone with it to protect their liver and reduce the risk of complications?
I think that's, again, it's not something I can answer just straightforward, because, as I say, in terms of if you've already got hepatitis B, it depends on what stage you're at. And this one, it's quite a long answer, because there are three different stages. There's the stage where you're infected, the stage where you can infect, and the stage where it's dormant. So, for example, if it's dormant, it's not going to cause any problems. It's just there. It's lying there. It's like a viral disease. It's not going to cause any problems. But if it's the place where you're initially infected and it's like your body's fighting against it, that's when you've got a high chance of basically getting liver damage if it's not treated. So that's when we have things like the hepatitis B. We've got the vaccines, we've got things we can do to help your liver fight through that stage. Because if you think about it, when you've got the hepatitis B infection, your liver, the fighting ground is basically your liver, and as your white cells go in to attack that hepatitis B, it's also damaging your liver, and that's what can lead to the cirrhosis part of it. So if he's had it for some time and it's dormant, then it's not going to cause any problems right now. It's usually when it becomes active and he's going through active infection mode, that's when usually you get the sort of the risks of it becoming cirrhosis. In terms of protecting himself, the simple answer to that would be the vaccine, getting hepatitis B vaccine, but he's already, I was going to say, and protecting yourself from getting it, but he's already got it. So, that's what I mean. I hope that sort of helps with the short-term answers, but I will cover this in detail next week.
Okay. You also mentioned something which Esther in the comments has actually pointed out. You said something about sharing towels and utensils, and she's asking, does that mean it's not safe to use hand towels in communal toilets? And I wanted to also say, can you get it from sharing like towels?
Yep. Not hepatitis B, so that's hepatitis A and C. That's different. I think that's
okay.
Yeah. But you can get hepatitis from sharing towels.
From sharing towels, basically, yeah.
That's why if you look at a lot of communal spaces don't have towels. They have like paper napkins that you can, because there's so much that can be shared from literally hand towels, not just hepatitis, but you can get you can get a lot of things from sharing communal stuff. So that's why, to be honest, normally people shouldn't be sharing towels anyway. And even within and I always say this, but even married couples and mother and kid, like everybody should have their own towel regardless. But I do know that in some circumstances people might share towels. But again, for me personally, for me to share a towel with somebody, there must be somebody really close to me. So the only person I've probably ever shared a towel with is probably Abba now, and that's when we've been on holiday and I've left my towel or she's left her towel or something like that. Yes. But so and that's it's true, and I wouldn't even share towels with my friends, and that's just the kind of person I've always been. But even, and Abba, you know how strict I am about this, even when I go to hotels, I don't tend to use hotel towels. I always travel with my own towel. Not because I think that, because hotel towels are cleaned properly and then they're steamed and we know that they've got these, that's why they clean it every day to make sure. But for me, it's just having that knowledge in the back of my head. What if my towel is the one towel that wasn't cleaned properly? Oh, wow. And it's one of these things about being a medic that just makes you look at the world a bit differently. I'm just a little bit cautious when it comes to things like that. And I know Abana has always been like, oh, just use towel. I'm like, So but these are some of the things. So we just need to, but as I say again, I'll go through it next week. There are ones which there are some hepatitis that you can get through sharing towels and spoons and things like that. There are ones that are mainly through like sexually transmitted, but they're all different. There's 5 types and 5 different transmission routes. So we'll go through it all next week.
Okay. Just to finish off, and then please, how can a dormant hepatitis become active again, specifically hepatitis B?
You know what? We're now really talking about hepatitis.
Yeah, I think you sparked an interest in.
Come back next week.
The Esther Hajimba who asked the question has sparked an interest in hepatitis.
Come back next week for an answer. Is what I can say.
What are you saying?
Come back next week for an answer.
Okay, Dr. Akosua says bullying everyone to come in this week for an answer.
No, because I feel like I think the reason I'm saying this is because I think when like last week I said I was going to cover fatty liver today, but then I answered a lot of the fatty liver questions last week, which meant that even today when I was doing the slides, I realized that a lot of the things that I said last week I'd already. Like a lot of the things I was saying, I've already said it last week. So there was pretty much nothing to say today because I'd already covered it last week. And I don't want that to happen again. So I don't want me to talk about it so much today that when we come back next week, I've already said everything that needs to be said. So I said I'm covering hepatitis next week. Please come back next week if you want to know more. And I'm not going to answer any more questions on hepatitis.
Yeah, I was gonna say they keep coming in. You better I'll take note of the questions for next week so that we can just like have some questions down.
Yeah, take a note of the questions for next week.
That's fine. I'm gonna take note of it. Take stock of them. Good evening.
Hello, and Auntie Liz had a hand up.
Yeah, I'm Auntie Comfort be explain it there with Troy and but I'm so one friend and then one auntie.
Me can you sorry, Auntie.
Well, what kind, but be a one. Sorry, I'm not blaming you.
Okay.
Dr. Abna, you game now will mention a kind of video be me here, so I know you're not going to answer any more questions, but when people are eating together, Naomi will hand me try some for almost a chop bar, the video chop bar na mato mufufu na nipa bear for mema no more sankwan. So and san kwana num na san betom ni adia. That too can transmit something, can't it?
Yeah.
But that's what happens a lot in Ghana. Well, you said you are not going to answer any more about that, but
no,
something just came to mind.
Yeah, no, it's an important question because I think it's not just about hepatitis, that one. It's about anything really, isn't it? Because I always say this, and I don't get me wrong, I think this is where things become a bit more difficult because we all love that communal, feeling. I always said I love being able to be in like a compound house, eating together. That's almost what makes Ghana, and that's what makes some of those communities. It's all they have, and it's all it's all they know, and that's fine. And I think it's difficult because again, you can say that they've been living like that for years and years and have had no problems. And in all honesty, I think ignorance is sometimes bliss, isn't it? But once you know, it's difficult. So for example, like I said, with hepatitis and all these other things, you can have it spread within a community and it doesn't cause any problems because, for example, it can be treated and you can have, so some people don't mind. And it's like even when partners know that if somebody's got HIV and they're on their medication and they have HIV but you still have sexual intercourse with them and things like that, I think once it's your choice, isn't it? So if you live with a partner or if you live with a sister or a mum who's got hepatitis and you know that they've got it and it's your choice, you're happy to still have that, share that with them. What I'm saying is that not in all cases will you know. So you just need to be mindful and protect yourself. So if you live in a household, like for example, I don't mind eating in the same bowl as Abana or my husband or like as Dr. Kujun, we can all eat together. even though I might not know if they've got something or something, that's a choice that I'm making because I want to have my family time and I want to have communal time. But I'll be very, very different if I just walked into a chop bar in Ghana and I just went to sit down with a stranger and I wouldn't personally do that because I'll feel like, what does that person have? So I think it's just the whole point of this talk show is just to inform you and to make you aware so that when you're making choices in the future, you make an informed choice. So if you do walk into a chop bar and you make a risk assessment and you say, okay, I'm happy to do this because at the moment I think this is fun and I want to get involved, but you should know what you're getting or what the risks of doing that are, essentially. So yeah, it's not to stop anybody from doing anything, it's just to give you the information so that you can make an informed choice when you make decisions about your life and your health.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
I'm Miss Mamilis, Auntie Elizabeth. Are you okay?
Dr. Abnam Pacho, it was just a contribution to the Dr. Akosika about Unigame, then I carry me video, no.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, so it's very, very okay.
To be honest, it's a good point because anyhow, there are some things that we do that we don't think about the risk or the impact. So
even sharing food, say, because I said there Juma, like I'll be what Kit Kat bar, some nice one. By the way, if you've not tasted the Kit Kat with the biscotti, the white one is very nice. I was this. Oh yeah, hold on, healthy eating, no going out. But one of our doctors bought the white Kit Kat and he tasted it. He had 2 bars and the tasting no said, "Oh, the pan, I'm on a 10 out of 10." So there was another girl there, no see Debbie. Then she has to taste it. So he gave her the other one. He said, "Oh yeah, no see. Oh, she cannot have all of it. So that she should share with me." So initially she broke it, and then when I had the half, I was like, "Oh, the pan." So I was like, "Oh, this is very nice." And then she had the other one left, and when she went to break it, I said, "Oh, she cannot break it. So if she bites it, do I mind having the other half?" And I'm still a bit. She should have it. It's like know you're Juma, but I'm not about to share saliva with you. And I think these are some of the things that again people are not. You might feel say you're being rude, and I said, but you're not being rude when it comes to. But again, you don't know say you're cold sore and I saw or or BB around. And it's not to say if you have these things that there's nothing wrong with like I know people personally who have cold. I know people in my family who have cold sore, but they are careful not to pass that on. But the thing is, sometimes even if it's coming, they don't know until the blisters have come. So you need to be careful, say when they are sharing things, you need to be safe because you can end up with a lot of things by sharing like bodily fluids with people. So we just need to be careful.
Fair point. Also, just before we go to the hands up, I see questions about hepatitis in there. Realize that there's been an interest sparked in hepatitis from one question, and Dr. Akos has promised to cover hepatitis, all the 5, next week. So she will not be taking any more questions on hepatitis. I have taken down everybody's question, and next week we will start with those questions. Please and thank you and apologies. There's only 1 more week. Wait before you get your answers. And if it's really urgent,
let me check my timetable, make sure I'm available.
If not, either or, if Dr. Akos can't cover it, Dr. Kojo will cover it. But the point is, next week there will be a presentation on hepatitis since there's been such interest.
I'm available.
So, if we're lucky, we might even have both of them on to talk us through it. So please, apologies, but 1 more week wait. Sorry. We will.
Is Dr. Kojo working today as well?
Please, Auntie Liz, yes.
Dr. Kojo is doing overtime nowadays, so
we know.
He needs to save, right?
Hey, maybe the date is pinchable and we don't know.
Oh dear. Oh gosh.
Good evening. Good evening to me.
Good evening, Naomi. So we've got
anti-comfort.
Yeah, we've got anti-comfort on. So we'll start with anti-comfort now.
Hello, everyone, lovely ladies.
Hello.
Oh, I didn't see Dr. Kojo. Okay, I'm divided. I'm between two meetings, but let me quickly. Until Liz, I'll answer your calling. There's something in X called calling, which is all good for the body. So I'll also go and do more research and come back if.
I've not heard of it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
The other bit, for the sake of those who may not be at this meeting next week, just a quick answer to some of the hepatitis questions, if Dr. Coates doesn't mind.
I mind.
Okay, then I will hold it. I will.
No, go ahead.
That.
Go ahead.
No. I'll respect that. Yeah, so I'll leave it.
No, Auntie Comfort, what did you say about the egg? Sorry, I didn't.
I will also talk about it next week. I promise.
Hey, you people are next week. Maybe next week I won't be here. Aye.
Yeah. But what do you think? Make it cool because you're the host today. Should we answer some of the questions?
If we've got time, tomorrow is not for us. It's only by God's grace. Let's go ahead and do things.
It is true. Until Liz just brought our mind to it, some of these people asking these questions may not be able to join next week. And yes, it may mean that you have to repeat yourself. And most of the times, a lot of us won't even remember.
Let's Auntie Comfort answer, and then I will answer next week.
Okay, fine. So we'll go through the questions again then.
So
No, I'm not answering the questions. The questions are for Dr. Coates. I'm just giving some basic information about.
Yeah, that's right. You can go ahead.
Hepatitis. Yeah. So hepatitis A, B, and C is what I want to just show a bit of distinction. So hepatitis A, as Dr. Coates has said, you get it through your mouth. So it's like eating your feces or someone's feces, if I can put it that way. Hepatitis A, that is how you get it, through your mouth. Hepatitis B, you get it the same way as you get HIV, from unprotected sexual intercourse with an infected person, from sharing skin piercing instrument, a mother can give it to the baby, and from blood transfusion. However, whilst over 80% of people get it through get HIV from unprotected sexual intercourse, hepatitis B is linked with blood. So if you come into direct contact with someone's blood, and that is why we have a lot of gay brothers and with hepatitis B and C. Hepatitis B and C is almost the same, the way you get it from sharing skin piercing, coming into contact with blood, and during anal intercourse, there's actually it's the way they perform anal sex is so vigorous. They will come and tell you that yesterday was too vigorous. It was so vigorous that they bleed a lot, and that's why they get into they get co-infected with hepatitis B and C. So I only wanted to give that basic information, and so I will leave it here, and then next week we'll hear from Dr. Coates.
Thank you. And when she talked about co-infection, it means that you can get hepatitis B and C at the same time. So that's what she means by co-infection.
We'll hear from Auntie Amma, and then we'll run through the questions on hepatitis. Yes.
Dr. Abner Pacho, Auntie Comfort and Akosua Ofosu-Asiedu no.
Let's also research next week. No, about the candy. So this
I've been between two meetings.
Sorry, Auntie Comfort.
She says she's in between two meetings until muting.
Okay.
Next week. Yeah.
So she'll come.
Thank you so much, Auntie Comfort. We appreciate you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Auntie Amma.
Okay. I think last week I did promise make. I said I know someone who had liver cirrhosis, a young lady, 29 years, and she reversed it.
Yeah. I said you gave us the tips.
Yes, but I don't know, because I've been too busy with meetings throughout the day. Something very important as every meeting means to me how I'm trying to remember and it's not coming. Dr. Akos, if there's something that we take. I've taken it for a long time, but I've forgotten the name. Gosh.
Is it Lansoprazole?
No. I know more of
gastric reflux. In what sense?
And not Gaviscon?
It's not Gaviscon. It's not
omeprazole.
It's
no,
not
no, it's not omeprazole. It's not. I know all those things. It's something which I used to take. I have the product in my house now, but there is a name for it, and I'm trying to find out. And I don't know why, but maybe a beba. But one of the things she did was
Mebeverin.
Pardon?
Mebeverin?
No. I bought some from Howland and Barrett, and it didn't work for me.
Okay.
Because what happened was I had to do a test. I had to do a test of the medication. I had to put it in milk and then left for 24 hours, because when you take it, it changes the acidity in the stomach. What did you say?
It changes the acidic content of the stomach.
Yeah, the stomach. Yeah, what's the name? It's not Kai, Lord have mercy. It will come. Don't worry. What she did was, number one, she had to stop. No, she wasn't. She doesn't drink, but occasionally when she goes out with friends, or just a glass, so she had to stop drinking, and she stopped up to now, no alcohol. And then she had to change her diet, more of a plant-based. And then she took something called, it's called MOA, which is mother of all. It's called, is it 36 superfruits? So she took that every day. And then she took something called Pure Nourish, which is got, there's a name for that product. Because it has to change this acidity in your. And she did that for about 6 months, and the first 3 months, the liver function test dropped to, I think it was over 400. Okay. But it dropped to 150 something. So when she went, the doctors were trying to find out how did she, but she told them, she's been going to the gym, and they said to her that no, the gym cannot, because the from 400 to 150 something, there was a big, and within 3 months. So they told her, and she was put on medication, but she never took the medication. So she, because of the lifestyle changes she made, and it was very drastic. And the reason why it was so serious for her was that she had just lost a sister. And then this diagnosis came in. So the fear of the whole family. So everyone rallied around her, because the things that she was taking was just so expensive. So what she did was, after 6 months, and then she continued. And after 6 months, when she went, after another 3 months, she went back again. I think it came down to 34.
Okay.
So they kept on asking her, and then I told them, but your doctors know, the men can be unsure. It should be our secrets. So, and I've been following her because she calls me. I was even speaking to a mother on Sunday at church. Yeah, but she's kept her weight. Her weight is down, and her LFTs are good. So this is somebody who was put on medication for liver cirrhosis. Invested. So lifestyle, I always believe in lifestyle changes. I always tell people, even if you are diabetic on insulin, because I know someone who was on insulin, and she actually did a lifestyle change, and then if she reversed it, she's not on even metformin again, or she's not on insulin. So yes, when you are serious serious, you can actually reverse every disease that you've got. So,
okay, mother of all. Did you say mother of all auntie? Is that what she took?
She took, and then another thing again. Oh, Dr. Akosua, who had you,
Debbie, because me check in, it's glutathione, so that worked.
She took something. I'm trying to. There's a name for it,
Somebody is saying apple cider or liver sauce. I doubt it is, but
no, it's not apple cider. It's not liver sauce. It's something which I think I started
backstage. Yankasa backstage.
Yeah, you will talk. Yeah, back backstage. Yeah. And if I remember next week, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you're welcome.
All right. Yeah, no, so that was just obviously Auntie Amma last week when we talked about fatty liver. She's the one who actually encouraged me to do this today because fatty liver is really important, and it seems like a lot of Africans, especially Ghanaians, have been getting it recently. And she was talking about how a friend of hers was diagnosed with fatty liver, but then she was able to reverse it. So she said she'll go and find out the tips and bring it this week. So that's just what she was telling us that she did. But before I pass on those details again, I want to verify the supplements that she's taken. So I'll talk to her backstage. I'll take them and I'll see. But she mentioned mother of all, which I did a quick search on, which is basically the medical name is glutathione, and that's actually an enzyme which is made in the liver. So if that's what it is, then that is actually quite verifiable. But I'll have to check it a bit more.
Doctor, of course, supplements. I know your supplements. I think it's from US.
Yeah, but what it. Send him a list, no, then I'll do the research and then see.
Yeah, I will actually forward most of the information to you.
Yeah,
and then you read into it because that's something which I've also been taking for the past.
Yeah, I think you're very helpful, and if we get a secret formula for our Ghanaian community, that would be great.
Yeah.
So no, thank you so much, Auntie Emma. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. So we'll just run through the hepatitis B questions in there.
Okay, I'll go through it quickly. So,
how can dormant hepatitis become active again? Hepatitis B become active.
Let me just answer it all at once, now, just so it makes it quick. Yeah.
Okay, and then can someone with hepatitis B on regular medication infect other partners?
If you can see the questions,
Oh, you see them?
Yeah. That's why I'll say now. You know, quickly.
Let me just stress myself. Please, Dr. Akos, continue.
So, how can someone with dormant hepatitis become active again? If you become really immunocompromised, and if you get so people who end up on things like either chemotherapy or you become really unwell and your white blood cells become really low, then basically the hepatitis B will take advantage of that and will basically replicate itself again. So you cannot be infected with hepatitis B, but your hepatitis B which is dormant, can be reactivated. So that's the short answer to that. Can someone with hepatitis B on regular medication infect his other partner if not protected during sex? So when you say on regular medication, it depends on what medication, because from my understanding, you're not usually on regular medication for the hepatitis B. It's usually like a vaccine, or so I'm not sure what you mean by regular medication. So I maybe need a bit more about that. But essentially, the short answer to that is if you're on hepatitis B, which is active, then yes, you shouldn't be having sexual intercourse at all, whether you're on medication or not. If it's dormant, then yes, you can have sexual intercourse, because it usually doesn't cause any problems. But again, like I say, whether it's dormant or whether it's active, you never really know. You can have hepatitis and never know. That's the thing. So because it doesn't exactly give you symptoms unless it's it's really bad. So you can actually have it activated and not know yourself. So that's why we just say you need to be a little bit more cautious when you're having sexual intercourse with somebody who's known to have hepatitis, or if you have hepatitis as well, just be cautious when you're having sexual intercourse. Can hepatitis B only happen through sex? I think we've already talked about it. It's a bit like HIV. It's through bodily fluids, most likely through blood, and again, the easiest way is through sex. But again, if you've got, so for example, for healthcare professionals, we all have to be vaccinated against hepatitis B, because you can get it through a needle stick injury. So, if you're taking blood from somebody who's got hepatitis B and that blood sticks you as well, you can get it. So if you're kissing somebody and they've got an ulcer in their mouth, or you've got an ulcer in your mouth and your blood's mixed, you can get it. So, you just, again, need to be careful. If somebody's bleeding and used a towel and you happen to be bleeding and use it, I mean, it's one of these where you have to be like, the stars must all be aligned, but it can happen. So you just need to be careful. Okay, and then we would like to all know the product she was talking about. Now, I think that's all the questions on hepatitis B. Am I right?
I'm on mute. Yes, that is all the questions, and then you've read the last one, which is we would like to know the product. And Tiama was talking about, which hopefully should be with us next week.
Again, with these answers, like I say, it'll be if you're able to come next week, I will advise you to come next week, because what will happen is we will go through the exact pathophysiology of how hepatitis happens. So basically, that's the mechanism of how hepatitis comes to be, how it is transmitted, how you can prevent. So we'll go through a lot more detail as opposed to me just giving you like sort of water face answers today. Okay.
Dr. Akos, please, can you consider H. pylori in your plans, please? Thank you.
I'm gonna write it down. H. pylori. Okay. Oh, you know,
I think you'd have to write it down. It's full name.
Pylori.
Yeah, Auntie Liz.
Dr. Akos, but a quick one. So bet to me, am I a quick year of brain fog? What causes it and what? Just say, and I will be beside me, dear Crank. I meant to make country. It was so bad. Why? What causes that?
Brain fog is one of those medical mysteries. We're not entirely sure what causes it because there are so many things that can cause it. So, for example, if you think of the 100 things that can affect the brain, so sometimes it can be hormonal. Sometimes when people get into menopause, they can get really bad brain fog, and that's caused by sort of their hormones just affecting. If you've got like dehydration, that can affect it. If if you've got medical conditions which affect the brain, but again, that's unlikely. If you don't have anything and it's just happened to, there can be a number of causes. It all depends. Even feeling too hot can cause brain fog. So like being flushed and having too much adrenaline, being really stressed can cause it. So there are several things. You will need to know the circumstances around it. So, for example, we're in a really hot room and have not drank water for about 12 hours, so which means you're dehydrated, you're really hot, you're flushed, and then it suddenly happened. So there are several things that can cause it. I wouldn't be too worried about it if it's just that one occasion that has happened. What I do want you to do is keep an eye on it. So if you find that you're having it more and more and it's not around the same circumstance. So, for example, if you're always getting brain fog whenever you go to work, you can say, okay, maybe it's attributed to stress. Or you can say maybe the temperature of your office is too hot, or maybe basically you can find there's a trigger for it, then it makes a bit more sense. But if you find that you're getting brain fog where maybe today you're forgetting where you put your keys, tomorrow you forgot to turn the light off when you were leaving, or forgot to lock your door when you were leaving, so there's different circumstances, and you find that actually you're becoming maybe forgetful and you've got more brain fog, then I would seek medical attention for that.
So when you're tired, can that give you a brain fog?
Absolutely. And this is why we always say, even night shift workers, for example, when I say whenever we go on night shift, we always say that there are some jobs that I will never do at the end of my night shift. Like I will never go and take blood at the end of my night shift, or I will never go and do like a really important medical job at the end of my night shift, because if you've had a night shift and you've not slept for all those hours and your brain doesn't work as it should, if you're really tired, and they also even say don't drive. So if you finish a night shift and you have to drive like more than 30 minutes home, they often actually provide us with beds in the hospital for us to sleep for at least 30 minutes to 1 hour to refresh our brains before we go, because when you're really tired, your brain doesn't work as quick, your reaction time is slow, you're just not connected. So yes, you can get brain fog when you're really tired. If you find that you were maybe really tired, then that can be a very good cause or a trigger for it.
Thank you very much, my doc.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
Right. Time is far gone, and as always, we'd like to thank you all for sticking through with us and being here still. And I believe we've come to a close now. And Dr. Akos, any last few words? Closing statement?
If you've got anything you would like me to talk about or anything you'd like me to cover, please do let me know. So like obviously, yes, this week I covered something from last week, and next week I'm going to cover hepatitis because obviously the vast interest in it. I'll also cover H. pylori at some point. So if you've got anything that you want me to, you don't have to say it on the show. You can direct message me. We're going to put our details on there. You can message us on Instagram or on TikTok. Just let us know. I'm more than happy to cover anything that you'd like me to cover, even if I've covered it before, because I think that the more you hear it, the more that it sticks. So yeah, but thank you all for being here. I'm really always excited to talk to you guys on a Wednesday, and I really like these talk shows. So yeah, thanks for making it fun for us as well.
Definitely, 100%. And thank you, Dr. Akos. Thank you, faithful watchers. Thank you, TAPTAP Send. And thank you, OT Media, for making this possible. And just one or two things. Tomorrow, we've got a time with TAPTAP Send, which is same time, 8 p.m. And then on Friday, it will be Ask the Lawyer for all your immigration questions. And once again, if you weren't here before, Dr. Akos spoke to us today about fatty liver and cholesterol. You can catch the replay if you missed it, or if there's anything else you want to kind of refer to. You can also send us questions or any other sort of like topics that you want us to cover. Dr. Akos has just put our socials on there, so you can follow us and contact us that way, or and be part of the OT Media community as well for any updates. And next week we'll be talking about hepatitis and the other one. Please come to me. You're on mute.
No, I said we won't talk about H. pylori, and we'll talk about H. pylori next the week after that.
Okay. So we'll talk about hepatitis, and then we'll talk about that one the week after that. So please,
Doctor, you cracked me up.
So please don't miss it. But yeah, until then, have a good night, everyone, and see you all next week.
Thank you, doctors. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
TAPTAP Send. Oh, I was you're from Calabos, the only boss. With oneness, the BM will be everywhere a day and everywhere they go. TAPTAP Send got me covered. If you need to send money or transfer money from Europe, from Canada, from USA, from UK, any part in Europe, you can send it through TAPTAP Send. And guess what? They will receive it right here in Ghana and many countries across Africa. So what are you waiting for? Download TAPTAP Send now on Google Play Store or App Store. When you download, it's so easy to use. Tell your families, tell your loved ones to download TAPTAP Send. Okay? But also, when I receive my money, the other time I would have challenged, like my view, hey, you crazy.
Download TAPTAP Send now on Google Play.